want to make sure that you are dropping those affirmations in there. What are affirmations? Okay. What are our affirmations? And so let me just kind of get an idea of who's on the call as we get started here this evening. So if this is your first time here with us this evening, this is your first time on BYOB Market Talks, let me get a 111 in the chat. Let me get that 111. And if you are still learning how to cash out, let me get a 222. Right? You're still learning how to cash out. Let me get a 222. So let me say welcome, welcome, and welcome back. Welcome and welcome back to each and every last one of you all. Welcome and welcome back. And so just for complete understanding as we kick off this new year, just for complete understanding as we kick off, right? I want everybody to understand why the affirmations are so important. Okay. I want each and every last one of you all to understand the significance behind this and why we operate in mindset. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean? Good evening, Chicago. I see you guys still logging in. So good evening, good evening, good evening, Fleming Island. Good evening, good evening, good evening, Chicago. Good evening, good evening, good evening. So now, as you log, as you're walking, and as you know, okay, our affirmations. I am a BYOB master trader. You have to affirm what it is that you desire. You have to affirm what it is that you desire. You have to walk in the right energy. So we want to make sure that we are affirming. I am affirming. I am a BYOB master trader. Not I will be, not is coming, not any of that. I am a BYOB master trader. I am the signal. That is why you're on this call tonight. That is why we're here. I am the signal. You are taught to learn how to be the signal. You are taught to be the signal. Because if you wanted to just get signals, then you can just stay on your job. I mean, just really, really think about that. Because that means that you haven't learned the skill set and someone else is still controlling the narrative of your life. Someone else is still feeding you the value that you desire. But when you understand how to navigate the markets, when you understand the $6.6 trillion a day industry, when you understand that and you understand that you can navigate it and you can make a withdrawal anytime you want to, then I mean, that's just significant. So I am the signal, right? I am the signal. And that's what you want to manifest. All my trades in profit. So you want to walk in that understanding that all my trades end in profit, and I am 777. Now 777, 777, 777, drop a 777 in the chat. What that means is profit. That means I cashed out. That is ultimately what that means. So that literally means that I cashed out. So I really want you guys to grab that and understand that. And as we kick off this year, I don't know if you can tell, I am so excited this evening because as we kick off, we have something so exciting for you, right? We're going to navigate. We're going to dive in. We're going to talk about the BYOB cash out strategy. We're going to talk about the tools, but 2020 gave us correction. 2020 is the vision that you always desire. 2020, that's what 2020 does. That's what 2020 did, is it gave us that vision. It gave us correction. Now we walked into 2020 talking about 2020 vision, and 2020 corrected our vision. 2020 definitely put you in position where you had to reanalyze some things. You had to really check some things, but we got what we asked for, and that's that 2020 vision. And so you either are gonna wear your glasses or you're not. You're either gonna walk in the correction or you're not. So that year taught us that there is so much that we want, but we have to align ourselves and we have to take control of our value. We have to make that decision for us. And that's what it taught us. And so now as we roll into 2021, remember, the day changes. That means that the year changed, but nothing changes unless you do. So we do not make affirmations. There's no such thing as a New Year's affirmation. It's no New Year's resolution. It's no such thing as that. Let me say it right. It's no such thing as a New Year's resolution, because that's false motivation. You commit to yourself. That's what you do. You make a commitment to yourself. And as we navigate And as we gear off into it, so, you know, you want to make that commitment to yourself that this is the year of transformation. This is the year of 1 million families financially educated and impacted. This is the largest economic empowerment movement. So this is that year. So I know that there's been some information dropped in the chat. We're going to start the call off like this, but there's been some information dropped in the chat. And if you haven't had an opportunity to watch that video, what I'm going to do for you right now is I'm just going to share something with you, and then we're going to dive into the strategy, the understanding. I know some of you all have questions. I know some of you all have those things. And so we're going to slow down and we're going to walk through that. We're definitely going to slow down and we're definitely going to walk through that. So what I want to do right now is let me share my screen, and I'm going to play this for you. Let me play this for you. Okay.
Hey there, it's Chanel Cooper Sykes, and I am on the beautiful beach of the Bahamas, and I thought it was just a fitting time to do a testimony video for my longtime mentor and friend, Mr. C. Thomas Gambrell. I am taking a vacation right now, literally while I'm still working, while my business is operating on the internet right now. I am a life coach, I'm an author, and I have created an online business where I'm able to sell my digital products and classes to the world and generate a very nice income while having the time freedom to do things like be on the beach. And if it wasn't for Mr. C. Thomas Gambrell really teaching me and training me how to set up my business and how to have the posture of an entrepreneur and teaching me the systems and the tools that create the results that allow me to do this, if it wasn't for him, I'd probably be sitting behind the cubicle right now or working at the mall somewhere. But instead, I have a 7-figure online business, and I get to teach and train and coach people all over the world, you know, how to live an extraordinary life. And it's been a very rewarding and fulfilling journey. He has definitely been a valuable asset to my life and to my business. And whoever's watching this right now, I want to just let you know that I vouch for this man 110%. He knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's doing. And it's not just from a standpoint of knowing the information. He knows how to deliver and produce results. So thank you so much to C. Thomas to sowing the seed in my life and really, you know, giving me the opportunity to learn and to grow and to sit at your feet and, you know, to be able to use the information that you have to build a business for myself. So thank you. And thank you so much for watching. Make it happen.
So I know that that's exciting. So I just want you to prepare yourself. And if you're excited to transform your life like that, you're excited to actually just get in position to where you can transform your life. That is what Be Your Own Bank is all about. When we say 1 million families financially educated and impacted, we are providing you a platform where you're going to be able to have that whole transformation. That's why I'm so excited this evening. And so if you're excited with me for what's to come, because this is coming, if you're excited with me for what's to come, let me get a 555 in the chat. Let me get a 555 in the chat if you're excited for what's coming to you, because this is the year of transformation. That is what this is. This is the year of transformation. And so if you are ready to transform yourself, you're excited about that transformation that's actually about to happen in your life with the Be Your Own Bank platform. Let me get that 555. 555. There we go. I love it. 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 All right. So let's go ahead and get started here this evening. Okay. Let's get started here this evening. So we're going to talk about the BYOB cash out, and I'm going to slow it down just a little bit because I want to make sure that we get complete clarity and understanding. Okay. So, okay, you want to know if I can cover Confluence? Absolutely, I sure can. So, and that's actually on my agenda as well. I know that we do have some new individuals on here this evening, and because we are starting the year with transformation, I do definitely want to make sure that you know, as we're walking into this, we ended the year, our videos that ended, you know, in December, our videos that are trainings that is on the YouTube channel that actually, you know, as we ended the year, those videos, we really began to prepare for that transformation. So we talked about your trading plan. We talked about your discipline. We talked about your consistency. And this is where this really comes in, right? This is where this is really going to come in for you. Because if, as you understand, I want you to think about something for just a moment. All right, people are literally fighting for $15 an hour. And I really want you to put this into perspective as you grow your trade account. People are really fighting for $15 an and okay. Am I not? Am I back? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, okay, got it. So once again, what I tell you guys to do to make sure y'all pray for my Zoom, right? Make sure you pray for my Zoom. So let me get this screen share back connected. So let me do this. I'm trying to get the screen share back connected, and I'll kind of pick up back where we left off. Let me get that. It's not letting me connect. Give me 1 second. Let me get this. So let me finish, as I connect, let me finish my statement because I don't know where it cut me off. So, you know, let me, so what I was actually sharing and what I was actually saying is that I want you to think about something as we begin to understand, you know, we really begin to understand our trades. We really began to understand the significance of our trades, the significance of what we have going on. Most people are fighting for $15 an hour, right? Most people are fighting for that. And most people fighting for $15 an hour. Now break that down. This is where I think it cut off. I don't think Zoom wanted you all to hear this. So, you know, just think about that. What is that a minute? Break that down to a minute. 15, you know, 60 minutes, $15 for those 60 minutes. What is that a minute? How much are you really making a minute? Have you really broken it down to that level? Just anybody, drop it in the chat. Because we're talking about your trade account and your wealth creation tonight, the entire transformation for your life. So if you can do that math real quick, drop that in the chat. It's not a trick question. I promise it's not a trick question. Thank you. Thank you. That's what I say. It's not a trick question. Exactly. 25 cents a minute. And when you think about it, when we're on a trading call, and what was the testimony this morning is that it paid the property taxes. The trade that we took paid the property taxes. So I want you to think about that as you're growing your skill set, as you're beginning your skill set, as you're beginning to learn your skill set. When your trades, when it comes back in $5 and it comes back in, you know, $10 and it comes back, think about the fact you are still in the beginning of your skill set, in the beginning of learning this information, in the beginning, you are still in more profit than what people are fighting for a minute. So you're taking a trade where you can get in and out in a minute. When you're taking a trade when you can really get in and out in a few minutes, do you realize how long it's going to take you to get $5? So you always want to be grateful and thankful about the fact that you can make $5 on a trade as you grow that to 550, as you grow that to 500, as you grow that to 5,000. So we want to operate, and that's why we laid out so much at the very end of 2020 in December about your consistency, about your discipline, patience, profit, about focusing on the skill set, because you are already exceeding. You know, we don't want greed to where we're always just trying to grab a trade, force a trade, grab a trade. Just like this morning when the market slowed down, we didn't take a trade. It's not that serious. You just take the trades that are there. Take the trades that you see. Take those trades, because even if you do one trade a day, you are still in greater profit and doing much better than somebody fighting for $15 an hour. All right. So I really just want to kind of put that in perspective. So I just want you to put that in perspective. So as you begin to navigate and understand this skill set, the significance and how it's actually going to change your life. So now let's go ahead and get started here this evening. Once again, let's try this again. So, and let me come over here. I'm gonna mark it up because from a teaching standpoint, an education standpoint, we're going to ignore this choppiness, okay? I'm not gonna train you all from this choppiness in the market right there. So we're gonna come back just a little bit. You not guys notice that's pretty much the way the market has been, unless you rode that Bitcoin, right? Yeah, the indices did play out this morning, you know, from the call, you know, around that news, and they did play out very well. So some of you all probably did a lot of profit on that one. You probably had a great morning on that one. I see a yes. So between Bitcoin and the indices, but a lot of the currencies have been really stagnant. You know, a lot of the currencies haven't been moving. And so that's what they kind of looked like. And so let's go ahead and talk about the BYOB cash out. And I might pick another currency pair just because. Let me see here. Yes, Bitcoin was beautiful. It was beautiful. I have it. We're going to look at it. So as we're looking at this, okay, as we're looking at this, you have that blue line cross over the red. So I want you guys to understand the stochastic, okay? I want you to understand the stochastic. My stochastic is for a sale is going to happen around the 80, and for a buy is going to happen around the 20. For a sale, it happens around, hear me clearly, I said around. It happens around the 80. For a buy, it happens around the 20, okay? I want you to understand that. Now what I'm looking for is I'm gonna draw this line right here. I'm gonna put this line on here because this is around where that blue line crossed over. This is that little area right here where we actually had that stochastic crossover. I'm gonna put it a little bit behind it. Now you notice when the stochastic cross, we have a red candle with a flat top, but we do not have a PSAR flip. So this is where your patience comes in. So now, why am I on the 15 and I'm not on the 15-minute chart? So I'm going to come back. I went up there to actually look at what was happening on the hour because I wanted to stay away from that area. So let me do this. Let me do this because that means so. And see, those are those little things you want to pay attention to. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I did that on purpose. But those are the things you definitely want to pay attention to. All right. So as you can see right here, I'm going to pull this over because this is where I want this on where that stochastic crosses. And I'm going to come back over here where both of these are really kind of looking like two cells. So you can kind of see where that kind of move. Now, and let's go ahead and let's start with this one over here. All right, let's start here. Blue line cross over the red net, downward momentum. I have a red candle with a flat top. And then of course, that PSAR flip to the top. All right. So this PSAR flips to the top, but it does not happen until over here. Okay. Now, when I look at it right here, all right, when I look right here, I'm looking at the fact that my blue line crossed over the red and that downward momentum. I have this red candle. Now you notice that, let me make this bigger for you guys, okay? And if you have any questions, comments, and testimonies as we go through this, drop it in the chat. I want to make sure that you guys really ask your questions. Drop it in the chat. Tonight is all about the education. It's all about the understanding. So now, when you see that we definitely have that blue line cross over the red and that downward momentum, I have a red candle with a flat top. Now you notice that this one has a wick pointing out of the top. That's not a flat top candle. You do not want to utilize the candles that have the wicks. These are Hikanashi candles. Hikanashi candles translate for Japanese candles, okay? They translate. It's like they interpret for it. So when you look at what the underlying candles are, I want you to look at these Japanese candles, okay? Now, with Japanese candles, you understand everything that you're looking for. You understand, you know, that's that engulfing candle that we're looking for. You know, all of these things that actually happen, that's not what we're doing. It literally, you literally have to wait. You know, you literally, you know, allow the Hikanashi candles to tell you what it's doing. Even this right here, this is literally a pullback because they need to look like what Hikanashi candles need to look like. You see how they're rising. It looked like I can climb the steps. They're rising, they're rising, they're rising. But then, you know, and then also right here, this is where this flips. So this is where this flips. And then of course, I mean, we have the flat top, then the PSAR flips. So that's when that trade lines up. You get the PSAR on lower time frame. Should we wait to clear on 15 only? Okay, I'm teaching on the 15 right now. We start on the 15. Whatever time frame you're trading on, you really need some clarity. So just like on the call this morning, you know, when I was showing you that, you know, on a higher time frame, there are other things that you need to look for. Because on a 15-minute chart, I'm doing my 10 pips and cash out, or I'm going to the very first support and resistance line, and that's it. I'm not going any further than that on a 15-minute chart. The higher time frames will tell you if I can take a longer trade. The higher time frames will tell you if I can keep going. So don't overanalyze it. Don't overthink it. It's really, really simple. So the videos on candlesticks was for information. Now, those are, it's still good to know, right? You still need to understand the candles. You need to know the candles, but that's why I'm emphasizing that these translate. So it's really good to know, you know, the candles. So it's important for you to know. And yes, you'll still take this trade, even though this is a momentum indicator, okay? The stochastic is a momentum indicator. I don't want it to be still. I don't want it to stay flat. I want it to move. So it's the leading indicator. That's when the momentum kicks off. So yes, you still take the trade because you want this stochastic. Not more than likely, it's not going to be way up here. Sometimes it happens like that, but more than likely, it's not going to be up here when that trade is actually ready, when it manifests. You'll see this more than not. You know, you'll see this where it's really in the middle. And now, as I look right here, if I can get to support and resistance lines today, then we definitely will. But it's going to be time dependent. So now, if we looking right here, and you can definitely see where you see I have that red candle with the flat top and that PSAR flip. And so right here is where my trade actually manifests. So that one was, so this is where my trade manifests. I'm gonna change the color so we'll have them in two different colors. So as you're looking, this is where that blue line crossed over the red, and this is where the trade actually manifested. This is where it came to. So now what I want to do is I want to check my hour. You can check the hour to 5 minute first, just as long as you check both of them. Please check both of them. Now, when we come to the hour, all right, when we come to the hour, all right, when we come to the hour, you see that it's literally, it has a PSAR flip and everything. Let me move this for you so you can see it. That doesn't always happen. It's not a flat top. So what that means is it needs to look like, it needs to look like, it needs to look like, it needs to look like a trade is setting up. Just like when we were on that 15-minute chart, and it actually looks like on that 15-minute chart here, it looks like the trade is setting up. And I'm addressing this because I get that question a lot. What do you mean it has to look like? Has to look like a trade that you're waiting on. That's what it has to look like. It has to look like a trade that you're waiting on. So, and this is what I mean about analysis paralysis or overthinking things, and why you want a relationship with the market. Because here you don't question waiting. Here you don't question, it looking like this right here is a look like. It looks like it's going into a sell. It looks like my trade is manifesting. It looks like I'm just waiting on my PSAR to flip. That's what it looks like. And so that's what that means on the hour, the exact same thing. Does it look like my trade is about to come to? Does it look like I'm about to be able to take a trade? And so, yes, it does. It looks like. So it looks like, right? I have the stochastic forming. I actually have a PSAR flip. But what I do not have is a flat top. And that's okay because I'm not trading on the hour. I'm not waiting for the hour to manifest. I'm trading on the 15 right now. And so I want to drop down to the 5-minute. And when we drop down to the 5-minute, and yes, we have to scroll over because we're ignoring the choppy market. And right here, we have more candles, more candles. And so this has to still be selling. This is still selling. It's still selling. You notice this was still down. Now, anytime you look at a past trade, anything past, and I want you to understand that when it does start to curve up, that is going to kind of curve down. But at that moment and at that time, that was still straight down. So this is selling. So it's this. That's what it means by still selling. And that is literally time frame confluence. So what you do is you grab your 10 pips and cash out, or you take the trade to the first support and resistance line. That's what you do. You take that trade to the first support and resistance line. So when we got in here, now understanding support and resistance line. So let me come back in just a little bit. I do need I will kind of address the support and resistance right here. You can change it to the line chart, okay? You can change it to the line chart. And when I change it to the line chart, you'll actually see the support and resistance with a lot more clarity. Now, here we go. You can see, okay, that you see support and resistance right here. But this is around where that trade started. So you're seeing support and resistance. And let me come up to the hour so I can be a little bit more clear. So you can see some support and resistance in here, but you see it did pull all the way down to here, but technically your first support and resistance line is somewhere up in here. All right, so I'm gonna change this back to my Hikinashi candles. All right, and so on the 15-minute chart, you would have taken this trade to here, to the very, very first support and resistance line, okay? That's when you would have taken this trade to that very first support and resistance line. And which technically would have been around here. So because you would have gotten a trade somewhere around here. So we wouldn't have stopped right there, even though that was 20 pips. So you would have that's still 52 pips, even though we wouldn't have been pushing it, because you wouldn't have taken this any further. Unless you're looking on the higher time frames, where the higher time frames are going to tell you that you can continue that trade or you can take that trade. At that point and at that time is when you would actually do it. So let me see. If everything is lined up, but the candle is small, do we trade on that or wait for a better, or wait? So if everything, wait, let me back up just a little bit. I want to make sure. So you don't have to have a flat top or bottom. For the time frame that you're trading on, you do need a flat top or flat bottom. So if I'm on the 15-minute chart, okay, my trade is here. This is where my trade is, okay? Actually, let me delete this line and I'm gonna just use the arrow because you cannot see through that line. So right here, okay, right here, I have a red candle with a flat top, right? Red candle with a flat top, but I do not have a PSAR flip. Then when my PSAR does flip to the top, which is right here, my candle, let me see something. When it does flip, you can see right here, you can see that it actually has a wick out of the top, right? It has a wick pointing out of the top. So I'm not taking a trade right there. So here is where the trade manifests. So this is the BYOB cash out strat. This is BYOB cash out strategy right here. So blue line cross over the red, stochastic is still in that downward momentum. I have a red candle with a flat top, and I have my PSAR flip to the top. Okay, that's where everything is in alignment. Now, when I do my time frame confluence, it will not look like this exactly, and everyone is going to be different. But what you're looking for is a sale. You're looking for, because we want to take a sale, we need it to be selling. So, for example, there are, which one was it? Did I take it off? Let me see. I might have written over it. So which one was that this morning? It might have been, which one was it? Let me give you an example. So I want to say it was this one maybe. So we're looking at it because it had called for a sale. And so when it triggered, let me see, because I can give you an example. And it time frame confluence, when I tell you, so this one we would have been trading on an hour. Yes, this is one. Okay, this is it. This is from this morning. Okay, this is the one from this morning. Now, when you're looking at it, so we had everything aligning. Okay, and it broke the trend. I'm not gonna mark it back up. I'm not gonna mark it back up to what it looked like this morning, because I just really want you to see this when we're talking about time frame confluence. Because when we look at our examples, we look at it from where we take the trade. So maybe it'll bring some more clarity if we see where we don't take the trade as well. So this looks great, right? The blue line cross over the red and a downward momentum. I have a red candle with a flat top, PSAR flip to the top. Now you notice that we're on the hour time frame. So you can trade on other time frames. So when I go to my 15 is selling. It still has that sell in it. But let's check my 4 hour, because if I'm on an hour, my confluence is on a 4 hour. What is my 4 hour doing? This looks like it's simply a correction. Now, anytime you have a candle like this, that it could have been red when we looked at it because it's 4 hours. It could have been green, but it closed green. It closed green, and at the end of those 4 hours. So, but the reality is that it's coming off of a strong uptrend. My stochastic is definitely not pointing down. I've been in, this is green, even though it's weak. That's that correction that we see. That's why does this candle look like this? That candle looks like that because of this activity that's happening right here. So we had 2 good hours or 3 almost, but we had 2 good hours of sales, 2 good hours of it pulling down. So in this 4 hour, let me see. Let me show you. So in this one right here, if you look, go over. What do you mean what a correction showing the other time frames? Like this, you're seeing a correction right now, if that brings any clarity to your question. This is the correction. This is the, so this is what it looks like on the higher time frame right here. So you're going to see that correction. And so in here is now of course you see it's kind of hitting on the side of some of those other candles, but in here is where that 4 hour candle is, right in here. And so understanding that in these 4 hours, each one of these is an hour, and we have a strong downward trend. All right, we definitely have that strong downtrend. And so that's the indication of a trade you will not take. But yes, you will see it. It will be reflected because the lower time frames is the movement and activity. And so you can see what the lower time frames look like. But this goes back to when I say, you wouldn't take it. So you wouldn't take it. The confluence wasn't there for the trade on the longer time frame, but you would have, if you were just scalping it or you were taking it on the 15 or something, then you had trade opportunity. But we didn't have it for the longer time frame. But I just wanted to show you the reason I came over here is because we looked at this one this morning, and we know that it is a trade that we cannot take. So I'm not focusing on the time frames right now. I'm focusing on when you do your time frame confluence, you want to focus on the time frames, but I'm trying to show you the difference of a trade you take and a trade you wouldn't take, right? A trade you would take and a trade you wouldn't take. So that's a trade that we would take. So just to kind of bring some clarity to your question about does it have to be manifested on every time frame? So you see that on this one, I definitely will take this trade. On this one, I definitely can take this trade, but on that one, I can't, right? Because my confluence is not there. The confluence, so understand this, the strategy, BYOB cash out strategy, back tested at 92% accuracy rate. It was back tested on every currency pair for an entire year. The indices, the commodities, it was back tested on everything, okay? 92% accuracy rate. So, however, you have human input, human error, market conditions that still happen. But even with the market conditions, because like I said, it was back tested for an entire year. So it covered market conditions, you know, and it still manifested and it played out. I want you to think about it like price action with a twist. So it still played out. It's still, you know, it's still manifesting. So what you're seeing and what you're looking at is the fact that what the time frame confluence does is it allows you to get a bigger picture of the market. You know, oh, you're very welcome. It allows you to get a greater and a bigger picture of what the market is doing. So when I flip over here to the 4 hour, you know, because you don't want to, like if I'm trading right here and I'm on this 15-minute, I don't want to just jump in a trade. And what if it's a quick correction, you know, like that other one was. So if we come back over here and don't focus on the time frame that we're on right now. Just let's focus on the information and the understanding of what time frame confluence is. So if I'm looking at this right here and I'm seeing this and I'm looking at the fact that this is a red candle and I go to my chart where the confluence has to happen, it is very obviously a correction. So what's going to happen is if you take that trade, you know, if you take a trade and it's in a correction, then what's the likeliness of you getting your pips? What's the likelihood of you receiving what it is that you desire to receive and what it is that you're looking for? So that's why time frame confluence is so important. And then we have something called pip reaction time, okay? What pip reaction time is how long it takes you to get into that trade. So just because I see it right here, you know, I want you to understand you're not entering the trade at this point. So you see it, you have to get your phone, you have to push the button, right? You have to do those things. Those things have to happen and that takes time. And so if you notice like the trade that we took this morning, that GBP USD, that one, you had some people that came in and it's right away 777. And then you kind of wait a little while and then you have a bulk of 777s. And then after that, you have some 777s that kind of ticker in a little bit after all of that. But there's a group that's right there in the middle that where you get a lot of 777s, a lot of people take profit, but then you only have a very few people that right away 777. And it's because they have very quick reaction time, that pip reaction time. Their reaction time is quick. They're able to get into that trade. Now, your pip reaction time, I don't want you to really be concerned about, can I speed it up? Do I do this? Perfect practice makes perfect. You know, of course, the more you do it, the better you get, the faster to get. That's just the law of, you know, reality or what have you. But the reality is because we do have pip reaction time, you want to make sure that that is manifesting. You want to make sure that, you know, is going to happen. You want to make sure, and that's what that time frame confluence does, because it keeps you out of corrections like this. It keeps you out of that because yes, now coming back over here to that GBP USD, coming back over here, and I'm in gold. You're welcome. You're welcome. We're gonna look at that in a second. Coming back over here to this one. Now you notice this was kind of rangy, but let me come to the higher time frame. So understanding that you know that we don't get a shift in a trend. If we are in a trend, we don't get a shift in a trend until it really breaks that higher high, or that, you know, till it breaks that higher high or that lower high, like, or the low higher low or the lower low, based on the way that you're going. So until it breaks that is when we really get a shift in a trend. And based on the time, I wanted to get into that tonight, but we might have to bring it to next week. So you know that you really won't get that. That's when that trend will kind of shift on you. But what this does is it allows you to be able to take a trade. It allows you to be able to understand where you are. And that's why you'll always, on a 15-minute chart, you'll always be able to get to that very first support and resistance line. Do not push the issue. Do not try to go further than that unless you've done more analysis. And this is where that patience, profit come in, and understanding that we don't have to reach for always trying to get all the pips. Okay. You want the consistency in your trade account. So yes, did this one go further? Absolutely. This one went a little bit further. Actually, it went quite a bit further, and that's okay. And we'll give my crosshair back. So that's okay. This went a lot further, and that's okay. But it's okay to do a take profit. And let me explain to you why. Let's go to Bitcoin. Let's go to Bitcoin. We're riding the wave of Bitcoin, right? I told you guys this morning what it was going to do, and it's done it. It hit the 40,000. Okay, it hit that line. And understanding that you want those take profits. You want those. You want that because granted, it can keep going, but look what happened. Do you see how quickly this bounced off of here? This, look at this. So when we got that, look how fast this dropped down within that 15 minutes. Let's drop down here. You like, yup, yup, yup. So just understanding, and this will kind of touch on the support and resistance as well. So look how fast this dropped down. I'm on a 5-minute chart. So within 5 minutes, and I don't even think it took all of the 5 minutes. This is why you want those take profits. So yes, I just showed you GBP USD and it went further, but you want to do your analyzation and be comfortable taking your profit. Be comfortable setting your take profit. Now, Bitcoin, of course, is a little bit different right now because we're at a high we've never been at before. But even still, when you analyze your charts and you say, this is my take profit, don't try to push it. This is where we go back to that trading plan. This is where we go back to our discipline, because you never should operate from a fear of loss. Like looking at this, like if this would have been our take profit, all right, this would have been our take profit right here. I don't want to operate from a fear of loss and feel like I missed out, because you're looking right here and oh, it was another almost 40 pips. It wasn't, you know, I can hear you guys now. There was another 40 pips. No, 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 no. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You want to stop right there. So you want to stop right there and you want to leave it right there. Okay. You want to leave it right there. All right. And that question actually goes back to what I'm saying right now. And what circumstances will we buy if the stochastic is overbought? All right. Let me help you guys with something. Okay. This is where your discipline comes in. Because if you're like a 111 or even a 222, would you really take a trade at that overbought or oversold position? Will you really take a trade? So let me explain to you how the vibrato works. And now we do have a playlist, and you know, I'm not going to be able to get into all of the details of that, but the vibrato scans the market, okay? And that's going to go into that overbought question. The vibrato scans the market. And I guess I'm answering that question about support and resistance lines, because you can see these support and resistance lines right here. Now, every time you get to one of these, this is where you have the correction, okay? This is where you have the correction. And you're going to have corrections in here. You know, that's just what's going to happen when it gets to the support and resistance lines. Vibrata does a heavy lifting for you. It scans the market. It finds those high probability areas. That's what it does. It finds that's what it finds for you. But they're called in a correction. Okay? They're caught in a correction. So you have to allow them to play out. But this is what it's going to do. I'm going to put this other one up here. So this is what it's going to do. All right. So vibrato is going to signal here. And that's not, let me, oh, that's not a good color. I don't know. Maybe it was already blue. I'm like trying to, I don't know. So right here, right? So it's going to trigger right here. And it's going to trigger right here. And then you're going to get a trigger right here. And I'm just putting them on here because we didn't go back and look at it, but I'm just showing you what the vibrato does. And then you even get a trigger right here, okay? And that kind of answers that overbought question or oversold question. So now you have here, 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 triggers. So I know if I'm looking at this, that I have a trigger here, that I'm definitely looking for a trade to set up. It triggers here. Oh, that's a continuation of this. It triggers here. Okay, that's a continuation of this. And it triggers here. So now what I want to do when you get here, now look right here, okay? Look right here, okay? Now, where's the market? This is why we always kind of drill up a little bit, go to the higher time frames, understand where the market is. You really have to study and understand some market structure, all right? I really need you guys to have that market structure. So what you're seeing is if I see this, right now you would be dipping for pips. So even if it triggers here, I'm not taking that trade. And we're in that oversold territory. You look down here where the stochastic is, we're in that oversold territory. So you can see that that's been in a sale. The vibrato is going to hit triggers at the support and resistance lines to help you continue to know where trade is, because if you miss that initial entry, what do I always tell you? Wait on the correction before you can re-enter it, which is impulse, correction, continuation, correction, continuation, correction, continuation. And so here, am I really going to take a trade right here? We will get a trigger, and that's okay. Because remember, it's scanning the market for those high probability trades, but it's not analyzing market structure. That's where you come in. That's what you do. You analyze the market and you analyze that market structure. And so when you see that, then of course, you can kind of look to the left and understand that, no, I'm not taking this trade because one is oversold. One is oversold. Two, nothing's happened beneath here in a while. So I'm sitting on a significant support line, and what's going to take me to push through? And so it's obvious that you're very close to the end of a trend. And if you take a trade there, you're dipping for pips. The signal says no, absolutely. So, and that's why you're the signal. That's exactly why you are the signal. And so that's what that is. So what is the indicator for overbuying? Overbuying? No, this is a momentum indicator. This goes to 0 and it goes to 100, okay? This goes to 0 and it goes to 100. So as it's pushing up in this area, then it's going this oversold. So it's not going past 100, it's oversold. And when it's down in this area, I mean, it's overbought and this is oversold. This is overbought and this is oversold. And this shaded area is the averages, right? You know, where we're higher and lower for what we have it set on. So that's that one. Now, that little dip of oversold, we could not, no, we don't want to take that. You don't want to take that. You do not want to take that trade right there, because that's pushing it. That's what I call dipping for pips. That means you are really taking a chance. You're taking a risk. So you would not want to take that trade, okay? You would not want to take that trade. So coming back over here to the Bitcoin, okay? Coming back over here to the Bitcoin. Now, this is what I'm going to tell you with the Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I told you guys at the end of the year was going to hit $30,000, right? I told you that. And then I told you it was going to hit 40,000 this morning. And then it's going to continue to rise. Initially, I said 50,000 by the end of the month. Is not going to take that long, okay? That was before all these surges. But what I want you to, what you're going to do is you're going to come over here and you're going to look, because once again, this is accurate. And so understand that it is going to have those pullbacks. It's going to have those corrections. It has to create support and resistance in the market. You notice that every time we get a nice surge, we have a nice pullback. We get a nice surge, we have a nice pullback. It did exactly, look at this one, okay? This one, I watched it and I said it's gonna close structure. All right, so hold on. So, and when I was like, yep, it's gonna close structure, it's gonna close structure. So it broke, you see, it was rising, and then when it broke this, it was no way to believe that it was gonna stop. That's a change of trend when it breaks this. And even if I'd have been over here, let me just do it this way and say, now some of these, I'm definitely going to need you guys to get into the academy. For some of it, and for some of the basics, you know, some of the basic things and some of those basic things. So, and you have to, as you're analyzing the market, you're looking at, so as you can see, now you can see that this was rising. It broke the trend line, you right? It broke the trend line. So whether you wanted to put the trend line there, or you know, you could, because sometimes Bitcoin and some GBPs, they will break that trend line. So even if you didn't want to do that, you wanted to do it this way, either one is a trend line. So it broke this trend line. I'm gonna stay with this one. So it broke this trend line and it pulled back up and then it came down. So once it passed this, okay, I want you to look at this, because it created that higher high, but we never got another one. And so it had to come break that. So this is the tip of that structure. And when it broke this, it was going to close to the next one. And in here was nothing but space and opportunity. So it was definitely going to drop down and close. And so that is a little bit of what I definitely kind of want to talk to you guys about next week. But and you know, that was my intentions for this evening. But we're getting some good information, and you guys have some really, really good questions. So as you're looking at this and you can see it. So now what I need you all to do is when this triggers, when you see this happening, there is no support and resistance. It's creating that. You can see as it rises, it pulls back, it's creating support and resistance. So you notice that Bitcoin, what it's doing. So support, the reason I'm pointing this out is I really want you guys to understand that support and resistance is your lifeline. So support and resistance is your lifeline. It is your lifeline. I mean, literally, it is. So you need to understand where they are. And, you know, and so when you see how it's still creating it. Now, what I want you to understand about these pivots and why I like these pivots, okay? This is calculated off of the market. It's calculated off of the market. And so basically, think about it as the institutional investors, right? We ride the wave. It's not the only support and resistance lines, it's the significant ones. So kind of think about it like the institutional investors, if you know, that really help paint that big picture. So these are very significant. You notice that, and this is why I like it on, I like it the way it flips on a vibrata, because you see that I have a pivot point up here, which is my R2. But if I drop down to my 15, you notice that I have my R2 here. So you actually can see, and you want to pay attention to these pivot lines on the different time frames, okay? You notice that it was higher. The one on the 15, you want to pay attention to that one as well. So you notice that this one is here. But when I go to a higher time frame, it's up here. So each of them, each of them are important. So if you're trading on an hour and you got here and you wonder why it pulled back, well, if you're trading on an hour, if you're trading Bitcoin on an hour time frame, you will have some cushion in your account. You definitely will need something in your account. But if I'm down here on the lower time frames, you can definitely see where it bounced off, because yes, that's a very significant correction. Impulse, correction, continue, impulse, correction, continuation, correction, continuation, correction, continuation, right? So it hasn't broken its structure yet. It hasn't broken that structure. It has not broken that. So this could just be some choppy price action, right? That's what this can be, some pricey, some choppy price action, because it has not broken this to go back down further into a sell. So definitely want to keep that in mind and pay attention. But you want to pay attention to these. These are your take profits, because there is no looking left. There is no looking left. for you to say, okay, this is the market structure. I can look left to see where it's been and where it's going. We're at new highs. So you have no choice other than to use these pivot points. You have to use your pivot points, right? You have to. So, and that's how you're going to tell. So as we close out, I think we covered a lot this evening, and hopefully you have a little bit more clarity on your support and resistance. You have a little bit more clarity on, really understanding the strategy and the foundation of you becoming a signal, the foundation of your transformation. So I have a minute or so. And so do we have any questions, comments, or testimonies? So do you add pivots to your account? Now, you all should be enrolled with the elite package. I'm gonna just put that out there, and this goes back to mindset. So let me hit on this for just a second. You cannot enter into something saying you want what you desire and shortcut what you're looking for. So if I step into this where a few dollars a day makes the difference, you should be enrolled with the elite package. That's the bottom line. Okay. Now, so that gives you access to everything. However, right? However, the pivot points I'm using are on the vibrata. All right. So the pivot points I'm using are on the vibrata. I'm not, we're not using the other two. We're using the pivots on the vibrata. So all you have to do is add the indicator. I click this FX. Okay. I click this FX, and then I come put the pivots and the pivot point standard, and it drops the pivots on the chart. It's right there. So also in the vibrata, let me show you something really quickly so we can transition this call. Let me do this really quickly. I want to show you something. And come on, pull up. So it's, of course, it's going to erase what I just had on there. But when you put your watch list and your currencies and all the news and everything on there, you're going to get this sidebar, and it's going to give you information on there. So if I look over here, the currency I'm trading on, you really can understand where you are. You get your technicals, and I can pull up my technicals and understand where we are. So if you want the other pivots, of course, all the different pivots are down here at the bottom. So you have the different pivot points. Now, there is a playlist that's on our YouTube channel that talks about this as well, about the pivots. And now that's definitely on there. But what you can see also is all of the moving averages. You can definitely see all the oscillators. Now, the oscillator that I use and that we use, of course, is the stochastic, but you can see all of that. And then it's really going to tell you on the time frame that you're looking for, the hour, the 4 hour, the daily, the 15-minute. You can actually get all that information on there. How did I get it? Okay, as I close out, let me share this screen. Let me pull this up. So when you come down here and you click the strategy, okay, you click right here where it says strategy. You click the BYOB cash out, like you going in to kind of change the strategy. So I'm gonna change my screen share where you can see that. And this is what's going to pull up. So you notice that I have the BYOB cash out strategy selected. You notice you haven't heard it ching ching. So I actually have it off while we're doing the calls. And then of course, where it says hide chart details, watch list and news, it's right here. You're gonna cut that on. That's where it is. And so all I did is cut it on, come back up here and save my settings and reload. And that's what it is. And then also you guys notice that the vibrata that we're on, it has a separate site. Most of it's in im.center, but I'm on imlwebanalyzer.com. So I like the dark background before they merged everything into the center. So this site, Stephen Hooley's keeps it active. And so this is the one that I preference and the one that I prefer. And if you look at it, also our visionary, we talking about transformation. He is actually the spokesperson for this tool as well. So Mr. Rogers, when you look, the gentleman that you see as soon as you log on, that's the gentleman, that's the visionary of this movement, Be Your Own Bank. And so he's literally right there. And you can play that message and really understand. So and I'm sitting there clicking through it and my screen share came down. So just to kind of show you what I was talking about really quickly, it's right there. So he's actually the spokesperson for this tool. So hopefully tonight brought some clarity to you all. So I'm so glad you learned something this week. I'm excited to be back after the holiday. Hopefully this brought some clarity. You know, I really did want to refresh some, and we'll stay here for just a moment while we're